Mile 22. This is Peter Berg, Mark Wahlberg, Lauren Cohan, even John Malkovich is in there. And basically, this is the latest action movie. It follows Mark Wahlberg's character and his kind of crew, his like special ops team that basically has to transport a person outside of the country because he has information regarding this big drug that they're trying to stop. And once they get him out of the country, he will give them the information to then be able to stop the drug. Now, this movie, I did not have high expectations for at all. I kind of thought it was going to be shit. Not a big action guy, so it didn't raise my expectations. And going in, I was like, all right, here we go. But I actually enjoyed myself. I was surprised of how much I enjoyed myself. Now, I'm not saying the movie is a great, well done movie by any sense, but I did get enjoyment out of it. Now, pretty much everything in this movie has a positive and a negative to it. Every aspect is a thing that they did right, but then they did it wrong that kind of took away from it. Now, I enjoyed it and I got a lot of positives out of it, but I think for a lot of people, and it seems to be the consensus, that they didn't enjoy it as much. And I can understand why, because there is a lot of elements in this movie that weren't the best. Let's start off with the action. That's the easy one. The action scenes were very interesting. They were actually very well choreographed. The fights were really well done. Even the way they killed people or attacked people was very interesting and very unique, awesome ways to do things. And you kind of saw things and went, "Oh, that was cool. I haven't seen that before." Or, "Oh shit, that's a bit gory." And I liked that aspect of the movie because it was gory, it was cool, and the scenes were there. But then they decided to use shaky cam. For some reason, they think it was cool to try to cut and flip between 76 different angles while moving through these action scenes, and it does take away from it. I managed to just get glimpses of things, and because there were cool enough things, I go, that was a cool action scene, but the way the movie aspect was working was not good at all, and I think that took a lot away from a lot of people's experience with this movie because they didn't shoot it well at all. They had a chance to make some of the coolest action scenes of the year, and it was pretty much taken away because they couldn't fucking direct the camera. Like, that to me is stupid, and I'd be very mad if I was one of the actor in this movie that was doing it, the stuntman, the stunt choreographer, any of the people involved in the stuff within the scene. I'd be mad. Why wouldn't you be? Because you put on a great scene, you put on a great fight sequence, thought of something cool, and then the guys behind the camera and the director has fucked it for you and then ruined a really potentially great scene, and I'd be very mad. And that I think is thing that's really ruined a lot of people's experience with this movie, and I can understand that. But then there's other aspects. The story I think is very generic, but I think it worked. I think they could have delved a little bit deeper. To me, it was only an hour and a half, which I think worked to its advantage. Didn't stay, didn't overstay its welcome, which I think is awesome. Don't run a 3 hour fucking movie. An hour and a half I think was a good runtime for this movie, but they didn't. They kind of merged the beginning and then just the whole big ending. They should have had a middle in there. Just separate the three acts a little bit more and it could have made a nice structure to the movie. They kind of didn't do that and it kind of felt like a very long sequence, which is, not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like they could have tightened that up and again made a better movie out of it. The story, I think, works. Nothing extremely crazy, but nothing bad. When it comes to the ending, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I still don't know if I like that ending or not, but I don't know how I feel. Let's just leave it at that. But then the character of Mark Wahlberg, they basically say he's like this genius and he's really, compulsive, and this is like you see that with a lot of his character. He yells at people, or he's like very blunt, and he like doesn't have like emotion, which I think works. But then they don't really show the intelligence side because it starts off he's like, oh, look at his skill. He's really skilled and he's messed up in the head, and you show it because he does these cool fighting scenes, and then come over like, I just saved your ass for 10 fucking minutes, you owe me that. And like, you laugh at it and you go, that was funny because he just did all this, fight all these people to save her, but then he yells at her for making him do that. Fair enough. But you never see his real intelligent side, which I think they could have expanded on a little more in that aspect. And then the comedy. I think the comedy is in here, and actually they didn't, put in, they were not throwing in jokes every 10 seconds, but every 10 or so minutes, they chuck in a one-liner, and I actually laughed at it. And I think that aspect made me enjoy the movie a little bit more. Now, as I said, I think as a core, and I feel like maybe in actually, in the studio, making this movie, I feel like they would have, done something good with it. And people would have been like, could be really good. Mark Wahlberg obviously thought this is pretty good, and then it came out. I think the guys behind the camera ruined it. I honestly do believe that the movie making aspect of this film ruined it. I think the story works enough, the jokes work enough, and the action's cool. But then the other aspects, it's just really fucked up and it ruins the movie, and a lot of people don't enjoy it for that reason. And I'm giving Mile 22 a C. Now, this wasn't really a disappointment. I think it could be because Peter Berg is actually a good director, so it was a little bit disappointing from that aspect. But I did enjoy probably more than a lot of the movies I've given C this year. I think this is probably like the highest one I've ever given a C of enjoyment factor, but just those movie making aspects really ruined it, and I can understand a lot of people's lower ratings for this film. That is all for this review, guys. If you liked it, press that thumbs up button, comment below what you thought of the review or the movie, let me know if you've seen it, whatever you want to type, I don't give a shit. Do what you like, make sure you subscribe. I've got plenty of reviews coming. We're doing a Blu-ray update tomorrow, it is dropping, and then we got The Nun and Predator, so it's going to be a pretty big month. Subscribe for that. See you next time. Have a good one.